it is time for our lighthearted humor break. That is the moment in the show when we amuse ourselves by looking at what the right is actually able to take itself seriously in saying, no matter how absurd. Today's winner, the Breitbart.com website, which is carrying on the tradition of the late Mr. Breitbart. They are now describing themselves as Breitbart News because this piece begins a Breitbart News investigation of the home exercise accident story told by Senator Harry Reid, and quote-unquote sources familiar with the incident has uncovered facts which appear to discredit his version of events surrounding a New Year's Day incident that left him with gruesome injuries to his eye, face, and ribs. Now, because they don't know about the inverted pyramid form of news writing at Breitbart News, they don't get to the point of what they're trying to tell us until many, many paragraphs in, as opposed to just laying out, this is what our story's about. This is, of course, but their story's ridiculous. So I'd keep it to the end, too, in the hopes that nobody read that far. They are saying that they don't believe that Harry Reid, in fact, had an accident at all. They believe that it is a cover-up. Now, again, I'm way down this column. I'm already probably 1,000 words into this or more, and I'm still not getting what they're trying to tell us. Okay, but apparently they say they are investigating the timeline and will receive another breaking report. Okay, they'd never really get around to telling you what they're trying to document, but what they're saying is this. First of all, they're making the case that Harry Reid's accident story, they say, doesn't add up. Why doesn't it add up? Because they say, let's see. Oh, okay, Rush Limbaugh. This is who they quote as an expert on it. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I missed it. Here it is in paragraph 8. It's pretty obvious from the photographs that somebody beat the bejesus out of the soon-to-be former senator from Nevada. They're quoting a blogger at PJ Media, that is Pajamas Media, because nobody is more effective at investigative reporting than somebody who works for Pajamas Media. Now, PJ Media's Michael Walsh says this is pretty obvious from the photographs that somebody beat the bejesus out of this. Now, that's forensic research for you. It's pretty obvious from the photographs. And yet the national media has uncritically swallowed the cover story that exercise equipment was to blame for the loss of sight in the majority leader's right eye. Baloney! That's what Michael Walsh wrote. Now, of course, the word baloney makes everybody think of who? Rush Limbaugh. Now, going to another expert in forensic science, these Breitbart people then go on to quote Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh expressed his own skepticism about Reid's accident story. They quote Rush, by the way, does anybody believe that Harry Reid really had an accident with his exercise machine? Does anybody really believe that's why Harry Reid is still bruised and still wearing dark glasses? What? Months after this accident with his exercise machine. I am, of course, imitating Rush Limbaugh. Now, Rush Limbaugh's forensic analysis submitted to his moronic public is as follows. I don't believe for a minute that whatever happened to Harry Reid has anything to do with an exercise machine unless somebody repeatedly threw him into it. Well, first of all, it's not an exercise machine. It was one of those rubber bands you use to exercise bands, they're called. I've used them myself to recover from an injury, and in fact, I did have one break on me. Now, of course, the investigators at Breitbart News tell us that it could not have happened the way Harry says because they've seen pictures of his home, the same model home, and they've looked at the bathroom photographs of the sample bathroom and the sample home, and they say, oh, well, he says he had it attached to the shower door. It's not strong enough to be attached to the shower door. And where could Harry Reid have possibly spun around and hit his head in a cabinet? Well, let me tell you something. There's something these guys keep forgetting about Harry Reid. He's in his 80s, isn't he? He's not a young man. So when Harry Reid first of all, exercises with an exercise band. Now, the guy was a former prize fighter. The guy is a boxer, so he's presumably strong, but I'm guessing he doesn't use the heaviest weight of exercise band at his age. Number two, as I've said from personal experience, I know that they do break. They get dry and brittle, and they can, in fact, break. Number three, when you are certainly of Harry Reid's age, if you fall, you spin, all it takes is, if there's room to stand, there's room to spin around as you fall, then you hit your head in your eye. There you have it. No mystery. I'm sorry to go against Rush Limbaugh, CSI, but on this one, I gotta say, more absurd, moronic outrage from the imbeciles on the right. Now, to change gears for a second, let's just talk for a couple minutes about the Democratic Party, because there's a lot of debate now, of course, about who should run for president. The draft Warren movement is out there. Bernie Sanders is exploring running. As we talked about last week, Martin O'Malley seems to be running a very progressive campaign, although he's a long shot. So we've got people running against Wall Street like Jim Webb, even though he's not progressive on every issue. So now people are starting to say, once again, as they've been saying for years, that it's irresponsible not to accept the current candidate or presumed candidate or anointed candidate, Hillary Clinton. Now, I tend to get out of supporting one or another candidate because I'm really focused on policies and trends and issues and culture and all that stuff. But I got to say, I was at a Netroots Nation event a year ago where I said, I can't see myself. I've always voted for the Democratic candidate. Unless she changes dramatically, I can't see myself voting for Hillary Clinton. And I got isn't that awfully irresponsible of you? My answer to that is, I'm giving you 3 years notice. So I don't know how much more responsible I can be. If I'm that important, then you got 3 years to find somebody else. Now, it was year before last, excuse me. So that didn't go over big. And I'm being told that I am, even though I live in a blue state, somehow contributing to the forces of darkness if I don't immediately concede that that is my candidate. Now, people like me, frankly, are not that important, okay? Because there aren't that many of us, numerically speaking. But the things that turn us off to a candidate are the things that turn the majority off to a candidate. They're the things that turn off that majority of voters who didn't vote last year at all. They're the things that turn off the stay-at-home voters. They're the things that turn off the Democratic base. They're the things that turn off the Republicans who want expanded Social Security, the Republicans who want a tax on millionaires, the Republicans who want to see Americans put back to work and government to emphasize job creation and wage growth. These are majority positions among Republicans as well as Democrats or liberals. So when you hear somebody like me express a lack of enthusiasm for the centrist wing of the Democratic Party, don't take that as me talking. Take that as reflective of what it's going to take to win. And a last comment about this, I would urge my friends in the Democratic Party, activists and elected officials alike, please don't lecture. Have a conversation with people who are alienated. This notion that it's irresponsible not to vote for somebody you perceive to be a corporate funded candidate is itself irresponsible, because the job of a politician and a politician's supporters is to win votes, not to lecture and judge people. If I don't vote for your candidate, I haven't failed. The candidate has failed. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.